Hi guys, my name is David and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be talking about the books that I read in August. So this is going to be my wrap up for the month of August. I did quite well. If you see me looking down, I've just made some notes. And I did quite well. And I just want to show you the pile that I have. As well as two books that I can't physically show you because one of them I have as a physical copy, sorry, and I've just put it away in my reading den, which is my shed in my back garden, and the other one, which is my only Kindle copy that I have on this list for that month. So I read it on my Kindle, obviously. But this is all the physical books I have with me. This is the majority of them anyway. So I'm just going to go through them and yeah, just discuss them briefly. I don't want to make this into a super long video because I can't be bothered to edit a super long video. I've got some stuff I want to do today, so I want to make this a quick editing thing for me to do. Anyway, the first thing I read for August was The Wit and Wisdom of Tywin Lannister, and this is technically written by George R. R. Martin. If you've seen this out in the wild and you're a fan of George and or A Song of Ice and Fire, and you've seen this and you're wondering about what it actually is, this is basically a quote book of kind of funny and memorable things that Tywin Lannister has said. This doesn't really have. No, it doesn't. It doesn't have a intro. It doesn't have anything that another author could contribute or anything like that. It's just um, basically a book of quotes from Tywin. So each page is short and sweet. You do have these illustrations which are done by the same person, which is John C. Clarke. Yeah, I always had to make sure I'm pronouncing people's names more or less correctly, so I can give them justice for their work. But yeah, they're all done in this style, and yeah, they're all good. And there's another one. And each this book is split up into small little different sections, such as love, family, maybe wars are part of this one as well. And I've just found there's a section on music. So these are the kind of um, beginnings of all the chapters. So you have this kind of scroll at the background, and then you have a picture of Tyrone doing something that corresponds to the title of the chapter. So, for example, this one's music, so he's blowing on a musical instrument, which is a somewhat different musical instrument that Tyrone's more accustomed to blowing on. If you've read Song of Ice and Fire, then you probably get that kind of dig. But yeah, all these different sections are all sweet and short. This one, for example, is only 2, 3. Yeah, it's only got like 3 quotes for music, which is really short. But this is for fans of Song of Ice and Fire. If you haven't read A Song of Ice and Fire, you could technically read this, but you wouldn't really get much out of it if you've read at least 1, maybe 2 books from that series. But I like this, really good, and I'm going to give it a 4 stars. Next I read was a vampire book called Blood Knight by J.S. Johnston, and this was excellent. I won't go into super detail about it because I did a video on it, but this is so good about humans and vampires that have to work together in order to conquer kind of outlive this threat of all these vampire bats that have been swarming the city and been killing everyone that they come into contact with. Really good, really bloody at times, really violent at times. Does drag in places, but I can forgive it because these characters are so good. This story was good, and I can't wait to read more from this author going into the brand new year. I want to buy the rest of his books, which is uh, I think he has two other books, and the anthology which is in. So I'm probably going to buy the rest of his backlog and read that sometime during during the next year or new year. But Blood Knight, I really enjoyed it, so I give it a 5 stars. Highly recommend if you're going into spooky season and you don't know what to read. This is a excellent thing to pick up. Excellent. Next thing that I read was this little thing, which is a kind of a bite-sized collections of Charles Dickens and all of his work. I've done a video on this. It will probably be coming out after this video, so I won't go into any detail, but it's more or less like a bite size of all of Charles Dickens' work. So yeah, it was fine. I haven't read much of Dickens. This was maybe my kind of gateway into his work. That's the reason why I bought it secondhand. It was okay. Most of Charles's work I'm probably never going to read, but there are a few things I wouldn't mind picking up. But this book, it was okay, but I'm going to give it a 2.5 stars. Probably never going to read it again. Definitely not going to hold on to it. But with that said, I'm really pleased that I did read it. The next thing I read, which was the book that I have a physical copy of, but I've put it back into my reading den, and that is A Storm of Swords, Part 1, by obviously George R. R. Martin. This is book 3 of Song of Ice and Fire. I have got Part 2 in my room. I was going to read it, I think either this month or in November. I'm pretty sure I was going to read it this month, but I am buddy reading another fantasy book with a friend of mine. So I do not know whether I'll be reading any more of the Song of Ice and Fire books this year, because next year is spooky season. November, I want to read Wicked before the movie comes out, and I want to read a author book which should be with me by November. So I want to read that in November if I have it at that moment in time, which I should do. If not, then I'll read a Song of Ice and Fire and continue with that series, but I'm not expecting to. And in December, obviously, I'm going to be reading a bunch of Christmas books. Also in November, I have a copy of Little Women. Yes, I know it's not what I usually read, but I won it in the giveaway. It's been on my shelves for way too long. It's a nice copy of it, and I want to read it because I won it in the giveaway, and I want to at least make it known to the person that gave it to me that I have read it and what did I think about it. But the first part of Song of Ice and Fire, I did some vlogs for. Every 100 pages, I did a vlog for it. But this is excellent. I really enjoyed it. Characters are really good. I liked it a lot more than A Clash of Kings. Obviously, because it's the first part. Because over in the UK, the Storm of Swords is split up into 2 rather than over in America. Pretty sure it's just 1 book, but I loved it. The characters were really good. I think there was only maybe about 1 or 2 characters I didn't really care much for, but I loved it so much better than Clash of Kings. I am going to try my very best to at least finish the second part of Storm of Swords this year. I don't know how realistic that's going to be, but I'm going to give it my best shot. But the first part of Storm of Swords, really loved it. I can't praise this series enough. I can't wait to finish up the whole of the books, or all the books that are coming out. But the first part, I loved it. Give it a 5 stars. The next thing I read was Black Angel by Graham Masterton. I read this as a buddy read with Faceless Book Reviews, and if you want to know about what the guy looks like, right there. So this is about this is a thriller book with some horror twists to it. This is about a serial killer called the Fog City Satan, which is killing all these families in a very grisly and gruesome fashion and way, which I absolutely loved. Faceless didn't really like it as much, but you know, I like a bit of gore and blood in my books. And there's this detective that is trying to apprehend this individual. It's good. It's good. It's more leaning towards the side of supernatural / demons being real and all that stuff. All this book had to be was a somewhat homage to Red Dragon. That's all it had to be. But yeah, it was fine. It was fine. It hasn't put me off reading more of Graham's work. I know I have at least one horror book on my shelf by him, and two kind of definitely not horror books. I can't wait to get to them next year. But this one hasn't put me off. It just was simply okay. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't, oh my god, that's incredible. It was just it was fine. It was fine. I'm not gonna hold on to it. I'm probably gonna pass it on. Might leave it to one side for a giveaway. I mean, it is a brand new, or was a brand new book. It still is. I've only read it once. I might put it to one side for a possible giveaway. But Black Angel, I rated it a 3 stars. Next was Long Buried by E.D. Lewis. This is excellent. It really is so good. A short little novella or short story about 26 pages long, roughly. You can get this on a Kindle version, but I got it as obviously a paperback version. I read this and I absolutely loved it. I was going to do a video on it, but I got a cold. I've still got a cold, so I didn't really want to be making a video when I was that sick. I am going to be rereading this year very, very soon, as I can easily read this in like one sitting, in an hour or so. Even if that, it's a very quick read, and I am going to be rereading it this year, so I can have it fresh in my mind, so I can do a video on it, so I can do this book justice. When I do that, I am not going to classify me reading this thing twice as me reading 2 books, for my Goodreads account rather. I'm going to only classify it as reading it only once, if that made any sense. But what I will say is that if you are looking for something very quick, very creepy, very atmospheric, with great characters for the spooky season, you cannot go any wrong than reading this thing. Read this book for spooky season. It won't take you that long. Even if you are a slow reader, you can easily read this in one evening. Just turn the lights out. Well, not completely. Just dim the lights down. Maybe put some spooky atmospheric music on, and get some tea or coffee or some wine or whatever. Read this, and you won't be disappointed. this is, in my mind, recommended reading for Halloween. So I absolutely loved it, and as you can imagine, I'm going to rate this a 5 stars. And the last thing that I read was a author request book, which sadly, which was sadly my only author recommended or author request book that I read during August. The reason why I kind of hesitated there is because Blood Knight is technically written by a booktuber, but this wasn't. But the author never reached out to me and asked me to read this. I bought this with my own money. But with Thief in the Wild, which was written by my friend Sean Barber, this is urban fantasy, and I have done a video on this. It's all ready to go. It's scheduled to get up on my channel on the 15th. But he asked me to read this, and it's urban fantasy when the last couple of things I've read by Sean, which have been horror, so this is a kind of a different genre that I've experienced from this author. Again, I won't say much because, as I said, I've done a video on it. But this is about a thief that steals a mask, which doesn't turn out too well for him, as he discovers that this mask has attached this kind of entity of this godlike figure to him, which will eventually consume him. I know that's very vague for a storyline, but I don't really want to explain everything again, because if you want to know more about this book, then watch my video on the 15th when it comes out this month. This wasn't the best thing that I've read by Sean. I think he's written other fantasy books as well. I think he just needs to hone in on that genre and focus more on it, because I think that horror is where he shines at, where I think his strengths are. I just think he just needs to kind of discover about what kind of subgenre of fantasy he should go into. But this was definitely a good and interesting read. Again, not the best, but not the worst. But I rated it a 3 stars out of 5. So that's been my wrap up, guys. This has gone on for twice as long as I would have liked. Never mind. The rest of the year, apart from November, are going to be really busy reading months for me. September so far has been kind of somewhat busy, not too busy, but it's busy enough. October, obviously spooky season, I've probably made it too busy, but it's going to be such a big reading month for me. November is kind of going to be more laid back and chilled. And then in December, going to be reading a good amount of Christmas books, both new and old. So that is it, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And yeah, we've all that out of the way. I'll see you on my next video.